Every time someone gets silenced, mocked, or slandered, we're told it's just free speech. But when it happens after a man gets murdered, that's when you get to see what people really believe. Now, personally, out of respect for Charlie, I'm going to stop it right here. I'll fast forward just to give you a still. But basically, he went up there and he fell to the ground, impersonating how Charlie ended up being assassinated. But imagine that a vigil meant to honor a life, and a student thinks it's funny to imitate the killing. Expelled immediately. Here's a statement right here. This is a follow-up message I sent earlier today. The university has identified the student in the disturbing video from Monday's event. I will not tolerate behavior that mocks, I can't read that word, what does that say? Trivializes or promotes violence on our campuses. It is anti-ethical. Hopefully I said that right. Apologies. To our TXST values. The individual is no longer a student at TXST. Even the governor had to speak up. This isn't debate anymore. This isn't disagreement. This is cruelty dressed up as activism. But cruelty only works if people believe the lie that Charlie Kirk was racist. So let's look at that claim itself.
It's been an absolutely horrible week. And I feel bad. I feel bad for that man's wife and the children. I do. But I don't think people understand how seeing so many people venerate a person who would say the things that this man said about Black people, seeing them put him on a pedestal and seeing people get fired because they simply said, I'm not celebrating it, but I'm not going to give it my focus because they felt like he offended them. They don't understand how that makes people that look like me feel. We did not grow up during a time when people could be so open about their hate towards us. So seeing this now is just, it's unsettling. And then you have NFL teams that are holding moments of silence for this person. But what about other people who have died in this country that didn't make their name off of disguising hatred as the word of God? It's scary. It is. I have never been more scared to be a Black woman or the mother to a Black son in my life.
Now, she admits she never saw proof. She was just told he hated her because of her skin color, our skin color. That's how dangerous narratives works. They plant fear where there's no evidence at all. They turn human beings into monsters in your head. And once the fear is planted, the machine of misinformation, man, it just takes over.
In the comments, so I posted on Facebook, I said, hey, y'all, do me a favor and drop down in the comments all the racist, hurtful things that Charlie Kirk has said so we all know. I was getting some, and I was giving clips of things, right? I was getting just clips. And it was all clips either taken out of context or didn't even show the full thing. And one of the clips when he was talking about Black women, it was clearly AI edited. The voice changed, the inflection changed, everything changed. It said Black lesbian surgeon, and then it clips off, and then it continues, it switches over into some AI Charlie Kirk voice because That's not even what he said. Cause I saw the actual clip, and black lesbian surgeon wasn't even in the actual thing he was talking about. He was talking about Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and what is it, Shanice Jackson or whatever, Jackson Lee, whatever her name is, and like one other woman. He was talking about those 4 women, okay, and somehow black lesbian surgeon are, and then the quote was that was in the clip posted by some liberal lady. She was like, black surgeon lesbians don't have the brain power. You had to get steal a slot from a white woman. That's what the thing showed, but it was clear as day that it was AI cut. And so I sent the actual whole clip, and I was like, here's the actual clip, because I sent all the clips, because he sent me like a whole gang of things, and I sent the clip back and proof for every last one of them, because I was like, I got time today. I don't, but honestly, it was something that was really on my mind, and I was like, this has to be done. This has to be done, because these are people who I went to school with, grew up with, people I'm close to, and I'm like, why are y'all doing this? Why? So I was just like, I just want to know everything you heard him say. And then I went through everything that was posted, and boom, bang, bing, bang, boom. I had to do it.
AI edited clips, ripped out of context, pushed across TikTok until the lie became louder than the actual truth. People weren't reacting to Charlie Kirk's words. They were reacting to manipulated sound bites. And of course, you know, the platform let it slide. These platforms out here, like TikTok, y'all seeing how that's a whole nother story. But here's the thing. Words can be twisted. Actions cannot. Okay? And the receipts tell a totally different story.
Anybody that thinks that Charlie Kirk hated black people did not know Charlie Kirk. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Charlie Kirk is responsible for the voices and platforms of so many black conservative commentators. You name them. If you want to talk about Terrence K. Williams, if you want to talk about David J. Harris Jr., if you want to talk about the great people that are black, if you want to talk about Brandon Tatum, if you want to talk about the great black people that are doing work in the conservative movement and that have platforms, there is a direct line to Charlie Kirk. He understood more so than I would say 98.9% of people that were in his position in the conservative movement, how powerful it was to elevate black conservative voices. And if you look at even the younger people, from Amir Odom, who did that incredible video that just went all over the internet, to Chandler Crump, to all of these younger black right-leaning influencers, they have platforms because of Charlie Kirk. And I'm going to tell you a story. Charlie Kirk is responsible for, I believe it was hundreds of young black conservatives during Trump 1.0, going to the White House and participating in, I believe it was called the Black Leadership Summit that Turning Point USA had. And you have to understand that Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA made sure that all of these black youth, right, that were conservative leaning, that were interested in conservative movement, interested in Trump, whatever you want to call it, that they got plane tickets, that they got hotels, that they had this amazing experience. Some of these kids, and I remember being at that and talking to some of these young people, they'd never been on a plane before. They'd never been to DC before, let alone the White House. It's because of Charlie Kirk. That was his vision. And to see people pretend as if he harbored some kind of hatred for black Americans because they didn't like some things that he said, or they want to misrepresent some of the things that he said on his radio show or in speeches or whatever, is ridiculous to me. You don't judge a man by his words. You judge him by his actions. And that man took action to elevate black people in this movement. That man took action to open the eyes of younger black people, black Americans in this country, who were interested in the conservative movement, who were interested in becoming a Republican, who were interested in Trump, whatever you want to call it. That was his doing. And he was able to do that work through the vehicle that is Turning Point USA, which is so massive. and so powerful, and that has been so influential to this movement and to so many people's lives and platforms and careers. So the next time you hear somebody say that Charlie Kirk was racist, that Charlie Kirk hated Black people, you point them to me, point them to Terrence Williams, point them to David J. Harris Jr., point them to Brandon Tatum, point them to any one of the hundreds of Black kids that went to the White House for the first time, that went to that Black Leadership Summit, that are employed in various capacities by him, by Turning Point USA, etc. You judge a man by his actions, and there is no way that you can look at the actions of Charlie Kirk and think that that man hated Black people.
Seriously, man. Rob Smith, he laid it out plain. Kirk built stages for Black conservative voices, hosted the largest Black youth summit at the White House, and pushed for representation when no one else would. Racists don't do that. Leaders do. And when people saw the hate celebrating his death, some of them went searching for the truth themselves.
Let me just clarify. Y'all made me obsessed with Charlie Kirk. This came out of the blue for me. I never cared for bro content like that. Nothing against what he said. I was just never interested in clicking his videos to see what he had to say. But y'all made me deep dive and go down this rabbit hole because there was no possible way that y'all seen the same video I saw and half the world rejoiced it. And I'm just sitting here like, there's no way. Immediately I'm sitting here like, bro, nobody deserved to go out like that in front of all them kids, in front of his family. And y'all rejoiced it. Y'all celebrated it. And y'all ain't even had nothing to do with it. So I said, bro, he must have said something. I'm missing something. I'm seeing creators that used to talk about God and is going to get on here and compromise their belief, religion, faith to celebrate death. We talking about something that's biblical that you should never do. And folks is coming on here doing it. So I said, I got to deep dive into what he said, because is he on the status of Hitler? What am I missing? And somebody said, well, he would have did that for you. Well, I don't care. My morals would never allow me to celebrate death. Doesn't matter who it is. So the fact that you've been compromised, I have to get down to the bottom of it. And
Exactly.
not just one person. Too many. So y'all encouraged me to go down this rabbit hole to figure out what bro has said for this hate to be sparked up or maybe revealed in a lot of people. And I'm almost satisfied, because now I started looking into stuff and I'm like, dang, so you felt like this. Your hate and evilness has been revealed within you. But what you said, the way he said, is cap. That's not even what he said. That's not even in the full context. So now I'm just starting to, oh, that was a lie. Oh, that was a lie. Wow. So, so now I don't know. I'm deep in it now. Pause.
I mean, think about that, man. He wasn't a supporter. He wasn't even interested. But when he saw people cheering over Kirk's murder, he drove into real content. What he found wasn't hate, like the mainstream narrative tries to portray. It was a voice they've been trying to silence. That's the irony of all this. The more they attack them, the more people finally listen. But even in classrooms, the attacks didn't stop.
Okay, so I'm in a civil social change class this term, and we were supposed to basically write about someone that I got something in my eye that was influencing, the community and further helping the community. So I wrote my discussion post on Kirk. Honey, you would have thought that I said something insane. Do you know my teacher wrote almost a whole page of why she disagrees and she doesn't, she is propaganda, and I'm just like, ma'am, are you okay? Like, I'm gonna show you. Like, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you, because you're gonna be like, seriously? Like, I don't have no problem if you're a left-wing person, but it's the fact that you're trying to sell me something that I'm not going to buy.
Okay, y'all, so this is my third time recording this thing because my kids were being utterly crazy. But anyway, This is what she said. Basically, I'm about to paraphrase all of this for y'all because it's a lot to read. So in this section, she was basically like, wow, you made some good talking points. Is turning point, are they a movement? Absolutely. Have their methods been effective? Absolutely. Then she said, I wonder, though, through the geniuses of Kirk's Christian faith, because like him or not, he advocated not for the true teachings of Christ, at least not the ones she grew up with. Basically, she was in a Christian cult. You know, we feel bad for her, you know, prayers up to her, you know, that she's, you know, found the healing and all that good stuff. Then she goes to say, but again, propaganda dressed up in religion sells well. Honey, she ain't wrong. She right. She said, but let me challenge the faith message Kirk preached. I dare say hate, not Christian values, and I will stand on that. Well, honey, she says she's standing on it, and you know what? Hey, you are entitled to your opinion. Cool. Anyway, she said, I also did not really ever see Kirk actually debate. This is where I disagree, because he did debate. It's just the fact that the people that he were debating, they never had a good rebuttal or a good comeback to what he was saying, because what he was saying was true. And sometimes, like I always say, you can bring the horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. And sometimes, even though it's the truth, people are not ready to hear the truth. So I disagree with that. She said there are ample examples of his podcast and YouTube videos to illustrate my points. Honey, you mean all the heavily edited versions of those things that have already been debunked or taken out of context? But yes, sis, you go off. You know, right? Anyway, she said, I am not in any way suggesting you, Casey, or Mike, which are the other people that wrote about Kirk too, brought up racism or misogyny or otherings, because I did not. I didn't. So I was confused. Like, sis, hold on, wait a second now, because I never did any of that. We're only in week 3. Anyway, she said, I will also say that in the wake of Kirk's death, which is probably his most, I guess, great message or something. Unfortunately, there has been more calls. See, this is where I disagree too. Unfortunately, there has been more calls for violence against those who oppose his message and the Trump administration. Even calls for violence from President. Honey, where did you get this? Where did you get this this bit of information from? Because honey, that's news to me. I ain't never seen Trump come on there and say that the rights need to go pick up tiki torches and go burn some stuff. Never once seen that, and I didn't see Van say that either. So I don't know what the hell she is talking about. Maybe she's looking at some of the Trump supporters that don't have no good common sense. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, that's basically.
A student writes about Kirk, and a professor responds with pages calling it propaganda and linking him to political violence. It's not education. It's indoctrination. When our teachers can't separate fact from narrative, it shows how deep the rock goes. And that's why the receipts matter. Because in a storm of laws, man, they're only the anchor. They're really the only anchor we've got. Charlie Kirk is gone, man, but they tried to bury what they tried to bury only grew louder. They mocked him. They smeared him. They celebrated his death. But, you know, the receipts don't lie. He built, he created, he gave voices to people who had none. And that is the truth that nobody is willing to admit. If you have to twist words, cut clips and also teach hate to destroy a man's name, maybe the problem isn't him. Maybe the problem is you. Maybe. And if you're watching this, don't just take my word for it. Do what the man did. Go look for yourself. Read, listen, research. Matter of fact, if you made it to the end of the video, right, read, listen, research. Y'all be safe. Go check on a friend today. You could be saving their life. I'm back from Texas. I enjoyed myself, and thank y'all. I did not miss my flight. Peace.